All right. Well, hello, everybody. How are you guys doing tonight?
Hey, Tim.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi,
Wow,
everyone.
such a lovely crowd. I'm glad we're finally having a show tonight, right?
Me too.
So as you folks can see, welcome and thank you. This is our show, The More Meeples, the Merrier on BGG. This is actually our first episode here, and we've got some really great people from all over. So I want to go ahead and get into it right away and introduce everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and just start with me real quick. My name is Tim. I am from Meepleville Board Game Cafe in Las Vegas, and I have a store out there, and I also run Dice Tower West. And I have a small YouTube channel on YouTube, Meepleville Board Game Cafe, where I do a lot of interviews and some other kind of stuff. So if you ever have a chance, please come and check that out. So over here, let's go ahead and bring up, we have Roberto from Massachusetts. Hello, Roberto.
Hello, how are you? I'm Roberto. I run Shear Boardom on Instagram, and I have a small YouTube channel as well. And come check it out. I do interviews with one-on-one. I'm actually a stylist in Massachusetts, and I just love that one-on-one component, so I wanted to bring that to the board game world.
Nice. Well, welcome. Well, thank you for coming to the channel, Roberto. Great to have you here. And then up here in the corner, at least to me, we have Beneeta. Hello, Beneeta.
Hi, everyone. I'm super excited to be here. I was formerly a Girls' Game Shelf member, and now I am doing my own stuff on Twitch and TikTok. Today was my first ever Wednesday stream where I did Phoenix Wright, and I'm an attorney as well, so I've never played Phoenix Wright before, so it has been a very interesting, and it was really fun. So if you want to hear me say objection, tune in on Wednesdays. Saturdays, I play board games with people, and then Sundays is just like weekly check-ins, like what upcoming for the week, how was your week? So you can find me at Beneeta_K everywhere, honestly. All my social media is the same.
All right. Very good, Beneeta. And we have our two future friends over there all the way from Australia, because it is tomorrow down there. That is Amy and Maggie. Hello.
Hello.
Hello from the future.
Yes, from the future. I'm Maggie. This is Amy, my partner. We're ThinkerThemer. We have a YouTube channel, and we essentially approach games from our two different perspectives. I'm the themer because when we play games, I'm all about the theme, how immersive the theme is, like how much does this game make me feel like I'm in that world. That's Jayson. Oh, Jayson. He's a fellow themer. And Amy is the thinker.
Yeah, I don't hear any cheering though, Jayson. All about mechanics, and we don't always get along, but that's the fun of it.
Yeah, we don't always agree, but that's life, and that's what makes it interesting. Yeah, what's up?
Absolutely. Well, welcome to the show. It's lovely having you as always. And holding the center spot, that's Whoopi Goldberg on what was that show? Hollywood Scared, right? She was the.
I was thinking more like Alice from the Brady Bunch, Tim.
Oh, okay. Okay, you can be from the Brady Bunch. But the hardest working man in content creation, the James Brown of content creation, we have Ruel Gaviola. Hello, Ruel.
Hi, Tim. Thanks again for having me. I'm much appreciated. Friends, I'm Ruel Gaviola. I'm a writer, podcaster, live streamer. You can find my work all over the interwebs. You can find me playing games almost nearly every day over there on my Twitch channel. I am a proud member of the American Tabletop Awards board and also the Tabletop Writers Guild board. And I am super excited about the upcoming Tabletop Live Network event that I'm co-organizing with the Brothers Murph. It's a 24-hour stream happening on Twitch on Saturday, January 30th. And that's what I'm up to these days. Thanks for having me, Tim.
Absolutely, Ruel. Thank you so much for being here as always. It's really great to have you. And then we have this is our third, our second from Canada. So we have somebody else. This is Ilya. Hello, Ilya. How you doing?
Hello, everybody. I'm super excited to be here for the first episode. I'm part of Kovray, the other half. Tyler couldn't make it today, but he definitely passes his greetings. What we do, we're fairly new to content creation, but what we do is we do written reviews. We love board game photography, and we recently got into YouTube. So you can check us out at Kovray or Kovray Studios, pretty much on any platform. But I'm very happy to be here and with all these wonderful folks. So.
Looks like Tim, you're muted.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, thank you, Ilya. Folks, you're going to hear me do that because my cat, I don't know if you heard her, she was whining in the back. Sorry about that. She always makes an appearance. We have Jayson coming to us. Hello, Jayson.
Yo, my peoples, what's up? My name is Jayson. I'm from the Shelf Stories YouTube channel. Shelf, like these shelves back here. Shelf, there you go. Thank you very much, Tim. I think my channel, the best way I can sum it up nowadays is about the intersection of games and life. So I have had some kind of outside the box conversations. I had a very interesting video about slavery and colonialism in board games that caused some conversation. I'm willing to go these places, the conversations that need to happen, I feel. I also talk about mental health and history. Like I said, the intersection of games and life. Shelf Stories is my YouTube channel. Please go ahead and visit.
All right, Jayson. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. Always nice to have you as always. And a first-timer, welcome so much. It's so nice to have you here. I've been wanting to meet you. This is Candice. Hello, Candice.
Hey, I'm Candice Harris. I'm a part-time news contributor for Board Game Geek because I do have a day job. That's why I don't post articles all that often, but you can find my articles just about once a week on BoardGameGeek.com. You can follow me on Twitter at CandyDrum. It's CANDIDRUM. And I was kind of brought on board to focus on some heavier games that are not in Eric Martin's wheelhouse. So I love heavy games. I love light games too, but yeah, and my upcoming article is going to be, I think, the heaviest game I've covered yet. So stay tuned for that later this week.
All right. Very good, Candice. Looking forward to that. Thank you so much for joining us. And
Thanks for having me.
Last but certainly not least, this was our third, all the way from Canada as well. So we've got an international crowd here. That's so happy to have that. This is Jayson and Julie. Hello, guys.
Hi, how are you doing? So we are Dice and Dragons. Now we have a small YouTube channel. We're also on Instagram, Twitter. You can find us pretty much everywhere at Dice and Dragons. On the channel, we do reviews, playthroughs, not as often as we'd like. Quite time consuming, and we do have a newborn that likes to try to help us when we're doing playthroughs, and that doesn't go over very well. And then we also do some unboxing videos. You can find us pretty much Dice and Dragons everywhere on the interwebs and all of our social media.
Fantastic. Well, thank you two so much for joining us as well. We have a lovely crowd here. So one of the things I'd like to go ahead and start with today is, anybody have any board gaming news they'd like to talk about? Anything going on in the board gaming world? Any information you'd like to bring up about anything?
Ooh, that's a very big question.
Yeah. Well, it is. There's always lots of news and lots of interesting things happening in the board gaming world. There's good stuff, there's bad stuff. So
yeah, that's true.
I saw there's oh, sorry. I was going to say, I saw there's a new version of Terraforming Mars coming out.
Yeah, the card game, right?
Card game, right?
Yeah, kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Ares Expedition, I think, yeah.
Yeah, and there's also a dice version of it on the horizon, too.
That one sounds interesting to me. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the dice
like
version.
these dice and card versions of some of the heavier games, not because I don't want to play them, just don't have as much time as I would like to sit down and get through the game. So you can get that experience in an hour. It's great.
Totally, absolutely.
Yeah, agreed.
Are they being made by the same the designer of the game, or do you know who's making them?
That is a good question.
That is a good question.
I don't remember.
I'm going to Google it right now.
Yeah.
I think there's this site we could go to called BoardGameGeek.com.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's
any other
fantastic.
fans of Aeon's End, I did see that they did announce the new Aeon's End is going to be probably coming to Kickstarter. I think it's Legacy of Gravehold. So we still have a lot of this great co-op game that I know Julie and I always love to get to the table. I'm just really hoping that I get a nice collector's box to put it all in one place. I'm kind of sick of having like 6 boxes on the shelf.
How good is Kickstarter season? As well and truly kicked off, friends.
Yeah.
It's time. Open your wallets. Means like lose a fiance to the. I'm busy.
I must say, I was very lucky with one of my more recent purchases. After we played the Reckoners with the painted miniatures, we were looking at the Freedom 5, the new Sentinels game, and I showed Julie the painted minis, and she said, "Yeah, you can go for it. Just don't show me the price." I was like, "Perfect."
That's the secret there.
Nice.
So what new Kickstarters have you been looking at, Amy?
Oh, there's a few that have come out. There's Darwin's Journey, of course, everyone's talking about and probably instantly backing. For me, it was like I'm not even looking at the price of this one. Not even asking Maggie. It's happening.
Immediately.
Right. That's Paul Luciani. They've been on a roll, right? But that's
absolutely. Yeah, and there's just a lot of good Euros that are coming up. The reprint of Tinner's Trail and Ping Yao as well, which I believe was released in Asia, but is being released now, kind of more mass.
Is Tinner's Trail, is that the Martin Wallace game?
Yes,
it is.
Yeah.
Has anyone played that? Because I'm going to be honest, it looked like the original version looks so boring. Like the game was so bland. But I love Martin Wallace games, right? So has anyone actually played the original?
No,
I have not. But I've always
wanted
I love
to boring.
Yeah, when I lived in England, I lived out in the West Country because I believe Tinner's Trail is like Cornwall, and I lived in Somerset, which is part of the West Country in England. So yeah, that's why I backed it.
Okay, cool.
The other big game that we backed was ISS Vanguard recently on GameFound. I'm very interested to see how this whole GameFound Kickstarter service, Kickstarter-like service is going to change the industry, having something that's very much board game focused, and what that's going to really do to the industry. We're going to see more projects out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Changing platforms.
Story did release, they announced their new game today as well. Umbra Via, I think it's the 2019 Cardboard Edison winner. Connor Wake's game.
Oh,
it looks really interesting. It's a social deduction tile placement game. So I'm definitely, and the art box on it is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that one for sure.
And then Monday, I think, or sometime next week is going to be Carnegie.
Yes,
which is
so
I'm hearing great things about that. So,
and it's tool art. So
instant back.
There's
but I do have
many games.
I know.
Yeah,
I think I have like 15 things on Kickstarter right now that
and they keep getting better.
Yeah.
How many people don't want to talk about how many games are on your shelf of shame / opportunity? I don't want to know the number.
Oh, it's definitely shelf of opportunity, but like I don't want to talk about it because it's like really embarrassing.
I asked him a couple times, and he refuses to tell me. I said, "How many do we have there?" And he just won't tell me.
She says there needs to be room for it when it comes in the house, so make room, and that's the way it works. But it's getting embarrassing.
Yeah, I was going to say, first of all, I want to say no comment, but at the same time, I want to say I have a shelf over there, but I also have a floor and another floor of opportunity. So it's growing and growing, folks.
That's right. Shelf of opportunity. And real quick, before I forget, I just want to go ahead and mention that in the chat as moderator on both channels, we have Amanda Panda. A lot of you may have seen her. She's been with us before.
Amanda Panda in the house.
Yes. Grant from Meepleville is there also.
Yeah, Grant.
Aldi and Lincoln, both from Board Game Geek. So it's nice to have them there. Thank you guys so much for moderating. Yeah,
everybody's here. Everyone's here. It's a place to be. It's so fun.
It is. Yeah, so another news I saw was interesting, and I just wanted to go ahead and mention something about Board Game Geek too, but Dice Tower is having their Kickstarter, and they surpassed their minimum goal, so that's fantastic. But guys, Board Game Geek every year has their annual drive, and I'm sure all of us are on the channel, use their resources and stuff, so I think we should all be champions and advocates to really push and help them, because just running Board Game Geek costs a lot of money. So anybody watching in the chat, all of us, please contribute to their drive every year. So,
Yep.
I didn't see how it finished. I know it was very close.
I think they hit it, didn't they? Do you know?
Yeah. I
I'm
think so.
pretty sure they did. Yeah.
And Lincoln or Aldi could correct us in the chat, but I think so.
Yes, and also the good thing about the Dice Tower Kickstarter, where I have an investment in, if they hit a certain level, 280,000, then I will be getting to do a show with Tom and or Z. So
cool.
Stretch goal there. I'm a stretch goal. So
That's it. I'm upping my pledge.
Oh, thank you.
I am also on the dice tower, and I am a hidden stretch goal.
You heard it here first.
Just in case we get that the angel donor or whatever it's called. They're just like, oh, here, have just tons of money. There you go.
Nice.
Yeah, so every chance we have to support these things, I think we should. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, someone in chat mentioned you have a karaoke cat. Is that what we heard just now in the background?
Oh yeah. She, I have a really loud cat. She, yeah.
I thought it was a baby, and I'm like, doesn't someone have to go check for baby?
I know. Yeah, my bookkeeper one
I
time.
have to admit, I looked at the monitor to be sure it wasn't our baby that was
My bookkeeper, I was talking to her on the phone one time. She almost had a panic attack because that's what she was thinking, that there was a baby there. And she's like,
Oh my
how come you're
God.
not doing anything? You know, like, she's just like,
It's a cat.
it's my cat, yeah. Yeah, so one of the topics I'd like to discuss, I'd like to bring up, because Jayson brought it up earlier, and he had done a wonderful video this week. I don't know if anybody saw it, about colonialism and slavery in games and topics and stuff. But I started thinking about, because specifically about the game Puerto Rico, Jayson, I'd like you to kind of start with this conversation as we get up there. And it's just about theme. It's not necessarily about the topic you covered, but about themes in general. And Puerto Rico was the second game I played, like in this hobby gaming Euro, outside of Catan. And all the things you talked about, even like the color of the chips, I never even noticed, because I know like Amy and Maggie, like they're the thinker-themer. I am 100% thinker. Like, component, like theme or anything, I don't even pay attention. Like I didn't, you know what I mean? I didn't even realize. So I just wanted you to maybe comment about maybe people like me who don't even notice those things in theme. And then Maggie with the themer, and Amy, that'd be good for you guys to maybe jump in there too. So what are your thoughts about that, Jayson?
Okay, so first of all, they are re-releasing the game for their 20th anniversary, something like that. They have changed the color of the chips by popular demand. They are now purple, and they have changed the nature of the ship. So it is now a tavern where you can like hire laborers or whatever it is. So I think they are trying to be sensitive to issues that, you know, persons like me perceive. And full disclosure, I am Puerto Rican, so besides being a themer, like, okay, I remember going into the when I was first getting into the hobby, going into things like, wow, a game called Puerto Rico. And having that revolve, and like, so speaking of what I see, so like I'm this is a personal thing for me, right? So like I know my grandparents, they cut sugarcane in the plantations, and I know the history of slavery. So it's like I see a brown ship on a plantation, and I can't unsee it, and I guess it just takes somebody who either knows the history or is a part, or has that part that, in their family, to kind of see that. So I guess I just put the video together and I didn't want to make it about like my feelings. Like, it's not like I'm offended. That's a big thing, right? Oh, this unit's offended, blah, blah, blah. This is not about my feelings. This is about, are we portraying history accurately? And I think we probably start there. It's like, okay, is this an accurate portrayal of history? You say you put us in the new world. We're discovering, we're building our wealth, just like, in the post-Columbus period. Well, how did people build wealth? So, and I find that the way Puerto Rico presents it, it's like, oh, well, they hired laborers and they worked hard and they built their, they didn't do that. They didn't hire laborers like that. So, and so that was my, like, is this game historically accurate? If it's not, like, is the history obscuring people's struggle? That's really what the video was. The way you're presenting history obscures the struggle of the laborers. And, that this is not something we want to perpetuate, or at least leave unquestioned. I do not want to leave that unquestioned.
Yeah. And so I don't know if anyone had seen that our first video of the year was Maracaibo, a review of Maracaibo. And so Maggie is from South America. She's actually from Venezuela. So was very excited to see.
Maracaibo.
Yeah, Maracaibo.
So I have the same of like, oh, yay. Like, I know that. That's where I'm from. And it's like, oh, wait a second. Wait, what? Yeah, when you start looking at the actual implementation.
We kind of went through that whole journey with it because, big fan of Alexander Pfister, being, all about mechanics and just how beautifully he can integrate mechanics. And then me kind of ignoring the theme, but then buying it without reading into the theme, getting it on the table, and just seeing like how hurt Maggie was, and
it's more
disappointed.
just like, I wouldn't say that I was hurt. It was just more confronting, and just it didn't feel.
And it doesn't feel good
felt
because
awkward, like
because
going
the
into
role
that.
that you're playing as well in that game is, for those of you who don't know it, is you are moving around from island to island in the Caribbean, and you are posting flags of different nationalities.
So you're
colours.
essentially like helping the different nations that are in there invading. So it's like to get with literal ownership tokens.
Yeah.
Because like this doesn't feel like, there's some tone deaf elements to it. So it's like, I don't mind if it's something that's like, it's a historical period and it's addressing a historical event, but it's like, who are you rooting for? Who are you glorifying, or what actions
and are all the
you?
facts covered? And, there was a lot of, there wasn't anyone from those countries really depicted in the game.
Yeah, there was one native card. And it's like, and it wasn't even, so it's just.
And so it was quite a challenging
Glaring
review to do as well, to talk about independently, to think about how do you feel about this game, and then can you separate that from how it makes you feel is really tricky.
Yeah. Luckily, the theme doesn't come through, so it's like you can almost forget about it when you're
But then,
playing
as
but
many
then it's
people
like,
have pointed out, is that worse because then it could have been anything.
Yeah, exactly.
If it's not
Like,
tied to
it
the
didn't need to be
mechanics,
that
the theme could have been anything.
Yeah.
So, good conversation to have.
Yeah, I think it's important to. I think this is great that we can have conversations like this, especially on this forum, Tim, because there are decisions made at every level of game design and game production, right? And I would like to see more game designers, companies, and so forth start thinking about these issues from the get-go, not later when it's been published and it's out there and it's being distributed. No, let's get it on the ground floor. It's like, if you're going to make a certain decision designing a game, hire a cultural a consultant. Talk.
I just sprung a leak, so I'll be right back. I'm sorry.
But hopefully Jason's all right there. But I think these type of conversations are needed in gaming, and the fact that we can talk about it here is important. And also, just moving forward, I want to see not only us as content creators, but just us as being good people. Like there's things that are just not appropriate, and call it out as you see it, and keep the conversation going. And that's how change is made, right? That's slowly but surely. Oh, no, go ahead.
No, I was thinking there's that perfect example with the thumbnail that happened for the Kickstarter with Pinyao this week, where the content wasn't necessarily bad, but the thumbnail was one of the most offensive things I've ever seen. I didn't show it to you, but it was an Italian content creator that basically dressed up in like full Chinese garb. It was really just
yellow face.
Looked terrible. The game is by Chinese designers, Chinese publishers. It was just, I don't understand how that happened, but I was happy to see that it was rectified in short order.
Absolutely. And that was the thing, rightly so, that content creator got, ripped to shreds on Twitter and everywhere else. And it started the conversation like, hey, let's talk to the company. What do you think about this? And the company said, oh, we messed up. And they tweeted out, we messed up. We apologize. And then they said they have learned their lesson. And again, going forward, we'll see if they have. But I think it's important that we're able to do that, talk to them and talk it out and go from here. Hopefully that won't happen again.
Yeah.
Yep. Just real quick, I just want to bring up a comment. Somebody wrote, where did it go? I'm sorry. That with the game Inuit, the designers met with Inuit peoples around the world and discussed it. So that was being responsible, right?
Yeah. Has anyone played that? I just got that in a trade. It's over here in my shelf, my
I haven't played
floor of
that.
opportunity.
I'll let Julie talk a little bit about that. I think she'll be jumping ahead a bit, but
Nice.
It's actually part of the topic we're supposed to talk about. It's one of my resolution games.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Spoiler
It's
alert.
been on our shelf for a while. It was a gift, and I was told actually that comment that it was designed with the help of Inuit people. So I was very interested to. I can't believe we haven't played it yet.
no, it was on the schedule for this year, but this year prevented us from gaming with the people that gave you the game, so it just happened to get delayed.
Yeah, because one of the things also, and because I felt a little guilty, and it's not necessarily, and I guess I felt guilty because I was unaware maybe of the topic in Puerto Rico, and like Maggie and Amy, you mentioned about Maracaibo, because again, I'm just wondering if I don't know if it's okay that I play games like that. You know what I mean? I felt a little bad because should I be aware of the theme and the topic? Because I'm just not like that. I just don't really care. I'm the puzzle guy, right? I'm the thinker, period, end of story. And so I don't know if I'm missing out on the appreciation of games by not paying more attention to the theme, if that's necessary, if I'm just being ignorant. I just started questioning myself about that whole stuff.
Yeah, Tim, I had the same thing like with Maracaibo. I'm a big Alexander Pfister fan, so I played the game and I didn't even think twice about it. And I know there's some issues with Mombasa also, which I love Mombasa. But one cool thing I should mention while we're on this topic is there is a committee of people that have launched the Zenobia Award. And I don't know if anybody knows about the Zenobia Award, but this is a historical board game design award or competition where they are specifically targeting underrepresented people from marginalized groups and also games that are underrepresented historical topics. So I'm like really excited about that because I have been getting a lot into like historical board games and war games. And it's like what you kind of see is just a lot of like World War II, World War I, the same themes. And it's like there's so much history outside of those spectrums. So I'm really excited to see, I think the 15th is the deadline for submissions. If anyone out there is interested in submitting a game idea, I think the website is zenobiaaward.org, I believe. But yeah, I'm just really excited to see what comes out of this, from having mentorship and just pushing diversity in historical games, when it comes to designers and the topics being covered.
Right. And how about you, Roberto? Where are you on like themes in games and stuff like that?
I'm definitely I'm the puzzle guy, and I do own Puerto Rico, and I am Puerto Rican. The biggest gripe that I have with Puerto Rico is the guy on the box. I've never met a Puerto Rican man with like long flowy hair and the bright eyes. I'm like, how come that can't be me? Like, just one time. That's all I need. But I absolutely agree with everyone on here with having more diversity in the games and being a little bit more aware of what is brought to our tables.
Of all the time to spring a leak, I missed all the good conversation.
Is everything okay?
I'll catch it on replay.
Yeah.
I had to. It was a sink thing, so I had to just set off the water in the sink, and I'll get a plumber in here tomorrow.
Oh wow!
Okay.
Wow.
And how about you, Ilya? Were you just about to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the really important element here is just education, because a lot of these games, they do have that like white colonial perspective. And when people play that game, that's all they see. So they don't really get the whole education experience. So I think talking about this and actually bringing it up and having those uncomfortable or comfortable conversations to really further that is really, really important. What I'm really excited to see is how many more kind of non-white and designers are coming out and getting so much support. We recently got a game called Nanami, and it's actually the first Inuit designed game. So we're really excited. We got it a couple of days ago. We're really excited to play that and kind of get that experience. And there's so many wonderful games out there too that you can support that don't have that colonial perspective as well too. So really uplifting those people, I think, is really important as well.
I also wanted to, Ruel touched on this, but like hiring a consultant, I see too many times where people will hire a consultant after the backlash and when things are already at the warehouse and ready to be printed. And it's a little too late kind of thing. And it's just like you're not really changing anything. And it just seems that you're hiring someone to save face when you are designing a game that is not something about a culture or country or whatever that you are not familiar with. Hire a cultural consultant from the get-go and make sure it's okay. And I do think more and more companies are doing that, but like I'm not going to like name companies, but I've seen it like happen in the past like 6 months where a company got face backlash and they hired someone, but it was useless. Like they couldn't change anything. They already had sent out everything to the printers. And At that point, what's really the point of hiring someone if you're not going to change anything? And I do think that like if people spend more money on games that like celebrate diversity and inclusion and aren't just about like white colonizers, like then more games like that will be made because the money, like dollar, is important, and like you like show your support with the dollar. That's what I believe.
Yeah,
so
absolutely, Beneeta, absolutely. Just sort of along those same lines, like I advocate for players with vision issues. I have red-green color blindness, and I talk to companies all the time. I'm like, you can try to fix stuff at the end of the process, but why don't you get someone that's colorblind and look at those colors, or change your processes to include, hey, let's make sure our game is the most approachable and accessible game that we can create. So I think along those lines, same thing with a cultural consultant. Don't wait till the end of the game. You've already put all this time and money into producing this game. Don't do it at the end. Do it at the start. So yeah.
You can save a lot of time, especially just by being prepared. It's being proactive versus reactive. And when you talk, especially just about the point which is red-green color blindness, things like that, the video game industry, and I think this is a good chance to just talk about gaming as a whole. They've had people doing some of this stuff for years, cultural consultants, when they want to talk about a game. They do red-green color blindness. One of the best games I saw was Destiny, that had like the different modes when they found. I think they had to do an update, but when you added it, was just perfect. You go in, you pick your color blindness, and it was set for you. So the resources are there. It's just, I think we need to all, as a community, help designers, companies be reminded that, hey, this is important. And the resources are there. You're not going to necessarily spend a fortune to bring someone on board and solve these problems before they actually happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And again, this is part of what we're doing, right? Raising awareness, so hopefully, some designers and publishers out there are watching right now. It's like, oh, light bulb, ding,
Yeah. I know Jennifer Schleckburn posted on BGG when Alma Mater came out and every single card had white people on it. And she's like, she's telling people like Man versus Meeple, Dice Tower, hey, we need to like call this stuff out and say this is not cool. We all have to kind of do our part. On the opposite side of that, there was a game that was on Kickstarter last year, Steampunk Rally Fusion, like a new version of Steampunk Rally, which I've never played, but I almost backed it solely because there was an African-American woman on the cover of the box, and it's dope. And it's like, it's really cool. I'm like, that's awesome. Female, person of color, science, space. Yes.
Yeah.
So I think we need to shout out, those that are doing good and hold the others accountable.
Yeah, Atlantis Rising is one that I was going to add. The character boards in Atlantis Rising, incredible. Just all ages, people of color. Yeah. There's just, it's amazing that one of the leaders is in a wheelchair. Like, it's just incredible. When you see that, you're just like, oh, I already feel so great about this game. Like, everyone has someone that they can identify with.
Yeah.
Someone
put an Indian woman on a...
Love it.
I think a really big part of like communicating this is to get the message out that we don't want to ruin anybody's fun. Like, we don't want to take away a game. I don't want to cancel Puerto Rico. I don't want to cancel Maracaibo. I don't like, no, they cancel. No, relax. We want more games. We don't want less games. We want more games. We want more history and more, like, we want more of our world in our game. So it's like when I think when some people hear this conversation, they think we're gonna like we're taking away, we're shaming, and it's like no, like we want it, we want more. Like we're not gonna. It's not like we're gonna push white colonizers into the trash bin of history, or we're not gonna push white representation. It's like, I mean, the whole idea is to have it all.
Yeah, right? I think that's such a great point, Jayson. Yeah, that is such a great point. We are not trying to, stop people from gaming. Like, we just want more options. It's like here in Southern California, if I go to In-N-Out Burger, I want a burger with certain type of onions. But, someone wants cheese, maybe want the cheese. I want my fries a certain way. It's not all the same. We all have different choices and stuff. That's such a bad analogy, but, what are you gonna do?
Well, I mean, a burger with one piece of onion, no cheeseburger.
Well, I mean, like, there's so many topics that you can choose from. Why have a colonization theme? And like, so many times we've talked about them that, like, you guys, like, you all have mentioned that, like, you don't even notice a theme because it's barely there. Then why does it have to be that theme?
Right.
Like, that's what makes me like. It feels like this is kind of ridiculous. Like, everyone says, like, oh, I don't even notice a theme. Like, does it really matter? Like, I don't notice it. I'm like, this is not a great argument, because then just change the theme. If your theme is so, like, not part of your game, then why have this theme that you know is not a great theme? Make it about like food. Everyone likes food games, right? Like, make it about something else.
Yep. So true.
Yeah. This is the game that we love, but a great example of how you can re-theme something and it, you know, the theme doesn't matter, is take a look at the Century series. Century Spice Road or Century Golem. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
In the Middle East, you can do a whole fantasy version and not use the game at all.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean you can't do history as well. You know, like Pax Pamir is like about the perspective. It's like, how are you, like, what are you, you know, who are you playing as, and like, what are you trying to learn from this event? And you know, I think that was another game that did it very well.
I don't know who's played it, and I've wanted to get the game because we like to play a lot of co-ops, but I know it's a difficult game. I would think just came to mind is This War of Mine, of handling a historical topic that's very difficult in a very accurate way. And I'd love to see more games that are set in colonial periods just actually tackle the difficult issues, you know, actually be a learning experience besides just being like, I like this theme, that's what I'm doing with my mechanics.
Yeah, Freedom the Underground Railroad. Jayson
just had that, right?
Had it up.
Yep.
I saw it in the chat, so that's why a lot of people were shouting it out. So it's like, Ice Tower review coming soon. Gonna do the
I just want to think.
I was just going to say.
Sorry, go ahead, Candice.
Sorry, me and Beneeta again. Here we are.
I know.
That game, I have it as well, and I really enjoy it. But it's a tough game to play. The subject matter is heavy. You know, I mean, it's about slavery, folks, and you know, I don't begrudge anyone that will not play that game. You know, I totally get it. You know, and it's one of those things. Again, it brings up conversations, right? And I know that I think there's a school district in New York that uses that game in its curriculum. They have a book that goes along with it to teach, you know, I think middle schoolers about that period of time. So I think it's cool to see, you know, games like that being made. Again, it doesn't have to be for everyone, but it's there.
Right. Yeah, and I think.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and I think like ultimately it's like we want to get more and more people into this hobby.
Yep.
And not less. You know, the more we're showing this diversity, it's like I'm a female drummer, and growing up, I was like the only person, like I was the only female drummer at my school for some time, and then, you know, someone I knew asked me to teach their daughter because it's like they're like, oh, a female drummer exists, like now that's a thing, and it's like. You know, by just getting this diversity, it's like you're welcoming more people into the hobby. I mean, even think about like something like Wingspan. That game is so huge, and the theme just brings more people in because it's not, you know, just the same old trains and colonialism and merchants. You know, it's different, and it brings in different people who have different interests. So.
Yep. Yeah, because also one of the other questions that I wanted to bring up around this topic, because again, as you guys know, that's why I do a lot of interviews and stuff, because I like talking, I like discussing, I like hearing and opening up and having conversation, is so when it comes to sort of accuracy, I guess, right? And I guess we'll just use Puerto Rico because again, you know, Jayson, you just had that in there, and that's kind of what we're I guess a lot of us are familiar with that game. Is if it's just a game, like. Are our expectations maybe too high because it's just a game? Whereas I'm just going to use like say Freedom and say Twilight Struggle are specifically like 100% for history, based on history. And, you know, I'm not talking for the designer of Puerto Rico. I don't know. Maybe he just picked Puerto Rico and wanted to do a theme. So it's a game. So are we maybe holding them too responsible? You know what I mean? About topics like that. So again, it's just a part of the discussion.
Back to that same point that Beneeta, and I'll hand it over to you because that's
Well, I think that if you just gloss it over, it kind of becomes you're normalizing it. And do we really want to normalize like these types of colonial themes? Like I personally don't. And I think about that when I buy a game. And, I think it's great that like games like Freedom and War of Mine exist. But games with like those kind of topics shouldn't be just heavy games that people are going to just be like, oh, I'm going to feel sad after I play this game. Like I want to see those types of themes and like games like, for example, Point Salad. Point Salad sold so many games and it was a game about salad, right? That's different. It proves that like people will buy good light filler, medium, whatever games if it has like the theme clearly doesn't matter, right? For that, like Point Salad could have been anything. Mm-hmm. So why do you need to have colonization and like games that like don't really care about theme anyway? And so that's why when I'm saying like, does it really matter? It just like normalizes it, and that's the problem I have with that.
Well, one of the things about Maracaibo was this comment of, just think of it as Pirates of the Caribbean. It's like, but it's not Pirates of the Caribbean. It's not a pirate thing, and it's not just make it a pirate, not not a specific place and time. It's a pirate game. It's a fictional thing.
What's the point?
Yeah.
When you use a place, so when you use a historical time period on your theme, you're using that to sell the game. Mm-hmm. That is a selling point for people. It is not. I know, like we have some people that like for whom theme disappears, but that is not the universal experience. I think people feel comfortable when they're playing the pastoral lands of lands of Caledonia with the big rolling hills and whatever. Like we selling the setting. Right. And we make people feel comfortable with the setting. And there are certain historical lies that make people feel comfortable in those settings. Right. You can get history wrong. You can make a mistake. But when you're told over and over again what the history is and you go another direction, now I'm questioning your motives. Now I'm feeling like you're making people feel better about being in this time period, 15th century plantation Puerto Rico, which by the way, Puerto Rico didn't even have plantation 15th century. Don't even get me started on that. Wrong history. My history nerd buff is going, ooh. Anyway, but plantations in Puerto Rico meant slaves, Sugar Rico slaves. That's a historical fact. And if you're going to sell your game and you're going to make people feel comfortable, you're going to increase your sales and your reach and everything. Someone's going to come in and say, ooh, look, I know where Puerto Rico is. I don't know where Floof land is, but I know where Puerto Rico is. I'm more likely to buy that game. So when you do that, I think you have a higher responsibility.
Yeah, and I was also add, Tim, that I think because it's a game and because it's the seemingly innocuous thing that just people can give as gifts and people like are playing and learning from, I just feel like that's almost worse because it's just like
trivializing.
It kind of trivializes it, and it continues this norm. And if people don't start saying, hey, this isn't right, or hey, this is offensive to me, it's the same as anything. It's the same as being queer and always seeing, the way families are represented, or it's the same as being a person of color and, kind of everyone being, oh yeah, but it's just, it's just this small little thing. It's just a game. Don't worry about it. Like, I almost think that's worse because it gives people the excuse to ignore it.
Mm.
Oh no, I agree. It's just, again, it's one of those kind of things. The reason I'm listening and hearing everything, and I'm trying, especially because I know you two, Maggie, and when you're ThinkerThemer thing, I really try to. I'm going to try to think a little bit more about theme. I'm going to really just try because again, it doesn't matter to me.
I completely agree. It's just the same.
So, and then I watched Jayson's video and you made me feel bad, Jayson. No, I'm just kidding. In the words of the great John Lewis, I cause good trouble. Yeah, I know. But I'm just the reason I'm having this conversation because I want to know, because there may be people like me, and it's like, do I need to feel bad playing a game because I'm not making myself aware of what it's about? You know what I mean? I don't know if I think I'm feeling a little guilty, I guess I should say. I don't know,
I think a big miss, and it's not a great suggestion, but it'd be a way to sort of take older games and just maybe like elevate the awareness would be, let's say at the start of the rule book, have the actual history in the rule book. If you want to educate yourself, put it a summary, let people learn. That way, when you're going into the theme, you understand what it's really about. As you're saying, it's, these things are given as gifts. People don't know. People are being normalized, and they don't have an opportunity to learn. We've got Jayson, who's the history buff, which is fantastic. You get to go figure it all out, but not everyone's a history buff, and I'd love it if you just took the time to make it a lot easier to be like, hey, this is my theme. I picked this theme, but you know what? You really should learn about what was actually going on at the same point in time.
Yeah.
And again, I think it's important to also celebrate and like the people who are doing it right, like call that out just as much as we're calling out the people who are doing it wrong, because I think it's important for everyone to be aware that changes are being made. I'm an optimist, so I see this like this show that we're doing right now. Like, this wasn't happening 5 years ago. This kind of thing. So it's like changes are happening, and like let's focus on that too. Sometimes, because I think putting that positivity out is also going to help.
Puerto Rico, like it's a whole new edition, and they changed the pieces, and they listened to the feedback, and that it took players being uncomfortable and calling it out, and someone talking about sales, like, I mean, they probably look at it and go, wow, this is going to hurt our sales if we keep on going this way. So like, I think, Tim, I totally hear you. Like, you're thinking about like, okay, I'm the individual gamer playing this individual game. How should I feel? Right. And it's like, I'm not almost like thinking like that. I'm more thinking like, okay, let's get the whole hobby to a place so that down the road, you can play a game where you don't feel so bad.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
That's the important part that we were talking about before, that as people, as the hobby, as the industry changes a little bit, and you get people involved beforehand as games are being designed. I mean, we've criticized games that are poorly designed, or they came out too quickly and it wasn't thought through. The more a game is tested and people are involved and people talk about it, and you say, this needs to change, I think it will. And I'm an optimist as well. I like to believe that we're going to get there, but it's by having conversations like this and by getting involved, before a game is published. I love seeing something changed after the fact, but I'd much rather it never get out.
Yep. Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
And I think it's important because, like Jayson mentioned, like you're thinking about like the whole hobby, and I love introducing people to board games, and I think board gaming is a great hobby, and I want more people to join. And I remember having a game night a few years ago, and I don't even remember which game we played, but then the next time I invited them over for a game night, they're like, "Oh, are we gonna play like so and so game?" It made me feel like kind of uncomfortable, and I'm like, that sucks, right? Like, I don't want someone that I invited over feeling uncomfortable about a game I played. And I wish I remembered what it was, but I don't. And like, I feel like if less games that have those type of themes that we've already mentioned are being made, then like, the hobby can grow more and more, which I think a lot of us want.
But I think what you've done is so important too, Beneeta, because a lot of people could have gone back and said it's just a game, and gave that response. And I think it's really important to really, because like saying it's just a game is saying exactly like it's just like a joke. So like the fact that you listen to that person, and that's something that we have to really emphasize with the community. If we want to grow, if we want that diversity, we have to be open to those conversations. We have to push people to have those conversations and say, like that is really uncomfortable now that I think about it. And I'm like glad you shared that with me. Like, let's completely play something else. There's so many other games out there, and then have that constructive dialogue. But proactivity is really the best thing. And I'm thinking about how easy it is to do too, and how much money can be spent if people invest in those things early on rather than doing damage control right after the launch. So
I feel like it would be cheaper too, to be honest.
And don't forget, if you're ever feeling bad about playing a game where you're about colonialism, just take out Spirit Island and destroy.
Yes, there's always a remedy. Well, thank you. No, it's absolutely fantastic. So first of all, I just want to say thank you, all of you, for having this conversation, for talking about things. It's so glad, because again, this is something I need to listen to and hear about, because I need to come to terms with it myself because I am one of those kind of people, like Ilya just said. I was just like saying, it's just a game, because I didn't think. And I'm going to try to force myself now to maybe think a little bit more. And, you know, because again, if it makes everybody better, if it makes our hobby better, if it makes it all better, then this is something I personally can do to help contribute to that, is taking the time to read a book, read the rules, you know, the history, you know, like Jayson, and, you know, and study and learn and realize that, you know, about things like that. And then I'd like to really thank Aldi, right, at Board Game Geek. So please, Aldi, I think you might be watching. I hope you are. But thank you for giving us the opportunity to do this, to get diverse voices, diverse faces, diverse community gamers, whatever, out to the community and allowing us to use your platform of Board Game Geek. I really appreciate it. I know we all do. Thank you so much for, again, just getting more people to the table, right? And thanks to Candice for the title. The more people.
I love it. It's a good title.
Thanks.
Yeah. Candice, you're so cool with your drum playing. Can we be best friends?
Absolutely.
Yes.
I want to join this.
Yes.
All right. So
Sidebar gaming group.
Yeah.
One of the things we were going to do today, everybody. So this is kind of cool. So some people make resolutions. Some people don't, and I'm sorry. There goes Mittens. Some people make resolutions. Some people don't. But I thought it'd be interesting if we all come up with our top 3 about gaming resolutions for 2021. So folks watching, what we're doing is we're going to give our top 3 of games that we haven't played, that we have made a resolution that in 2021, we are going to get these games to the table. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and start with Roberto. And Roberto, you can go first. And this suggestion was made by Crystal, and we carried it along. So Roberto, after you talk about your top 3, and of course, you know, everybody chime in and talk about it and stuff. But when you're done, you're going to pick somebody, and they're going to go next. And we're just going to keep doing that until all 9 of us go, okay? So Roberto, go ahead and start us off.
Awesome. So my top 3. The first one we did set up. It took us about an hour and some change to set up. Actually, it took my fiance an hour and some change to set up. It was On Mars by Vital Lacerda and Ian O'Toole. We set it up and we had to break it down just immediately as we set it up. It felt so bad. I had to go somewhere. So we have yet to play that game. But seeing her take that long to put out on the table has been a little bit of a deterrent for me to say, hey, let's try this. Because it is so heavy at 4 point, whatever it is, 5 or something like that in weight. But whenever I look at this box, I'm like, wow, this is a gorgeous box. I really want to play this. So that's my first game I want to play for this year. Maybe I want to try and play it virtually. Actually, we've been doing a lot of virtual games, and someone may teach us it over Zoom. So I'm super pumped about that.
Awesome.
The second game that I really want to play this year is Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. We had that pop up. We do have regular Gloomhaven, and we put out on our table. And again, it was just so much. We played the first couple scenarios. We put it away, and we were like, "This is a lot." But we love D&D. We love like those type of games. But that game, like it's just so massive. It's intimidating for me to say, "Hey, let me just put this out." So we ended up getting Jaws of the Lion to try and mitigate some of that. But that's just another one we haven't been able to get to the table.
We're on the same wavelength here, you and me, Roberto. I think we're definitely like the same type of games.
We were talking about the shelf of opportunity earlier, and I will say my number's at like 19 or something like that. We definitely we counted.
That's
we
nothing.
have.
That's nothing. Glad I went
so happy to hear.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's not in 3 digits.
Well, we have all the Kickstarters coming this year too. I'm sure it'll take us a little bit to get through. And then my number 3 is Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea by Scott Elms and made by, oh my gosh, Tiny Epic People, Gameland Games. That was something we saw last year. And last year was it was such a big gaming year, I think, for a lot of people. My games, like I didn't have any of this. All this came from last year.
Wow, really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
2020.
Wow.
Yeah, 2020 was quite generous to me in the board game game ways. Still consider myself a complete novice with the board game. But Kate, my fiance, she saw Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea, and she's like, "Oh, I've been looking for it." And someone was selling it but all of it. So we have the we have the core set and the 2 other expansions. So again, that box is massive. When it came, it was all jumbled up, and we spent like a good hour and a half trying to put that together, like figuring out what went where. And that's just been sitting on our shelf of opportunity for a little bit as well. So
Roberto, did you get the playmat as well?
We did not get the playmat.
Oh my gosh, that thing's like a blanket. I could sleep in that.
It's a blanket. All right, I gotta write that down.
It's so crazy, yeah.
One of the things we just got this year, Roberto, to help us out with regards to playing those big games is we got an actual gaming table with a recessed play area. So now I don't have to take it down. I can just cover it up and put another game out on top of it.
There you go.
Nice. That sounds awesome.
I really want one of those.
I got one in 2020, and yeah, I love it. You just have it. You can also like surprise your guests too. Like if they're not gamers,
surprise game night.
Dinner, and then like
here's dinner, and then actually we're playing.
Oh, that's such a great idea. Have dinner, then surprise, we're playing Twilight Imperium.
By the way,
you're playing for 12 hours, right?
Because our kitchen table is a little smaller. I ended up getting my first iteration was something from when I was a kid. My parents had two pieces of plywood that was just together on a hinge. So I did a 4x6. Yeah, 4x6. And I made a trifold to put on top of our kitchen table. So then I actually inherited that piece from my parents, the 4x8. So we put that on top of the 4x6. It just elongates the table beautifully. So it's like Cthulhu Wars and Anachrony and like all these awesome bigger games. So we're definitely going to be putting On Mars and Heroes and Jaws of the Lion all on that, just so we can have elbow space.
Right.
So those are my top 3 resolution games for this year. Let's go with Jayson.
All right, Jayson, real quick, I'm sorry, before you go, I should have made this announcement earlier, and I'm really sorry. So any of you folks watching who wanted to get involved with the chat, because I know if you're on the front page of BGG, all you're seeing is us talking and all that kind of stuff. But if you'd like to get involved with the chat, please go to twitch.com/Meepleville. I've got it scrolling on the bottom of the channel right there. Or you can go to youtube.com to Meepleville Board Game Cafe, and then you can be in part of the chat. Okay, so either one of those places will allow you to be part of the chat. Sorry, I didn't say that earlier, but you can go over there and head now. Sorry, Jayson, go ahead.
Okay. You put me on the spot. I wasn't prepared. I thought I was going to go 7th. Anyway, okay. So I have it's a kind of standing mission, like year by year mission. I want to play every cooperative game ever. Wow. At least once.
Wow.
I'm a co-op gamer. I'm about 300 down, and
wow, 100.
Yeah, pretty good, right? I seek them out. I'm real kind of nose for this stuff. It's like I don't know. I'm that guy. I'm that completionist guy. Like I have to play them all.
That is really impressive.
Quickly, before you get going, Jayson, top 3, right off the top of your head, top 3 co-op games.
Yeah.
Ooh. Pandemic. Eldritch Horror, Hanabi.
Nice.
Wow.
So, what was the first one you said?
Pandemic.
Oh, Pandemic.
Any particular one?
Pandemic. Oh, base. There's like a billion.
Nice.
I could have.
Pandemic is good.
Mm-hmm. Base Pandemic. Yeah, that's my favorite game of all time. It'll always be. You got me there. Or Spirit Island. I'm gonna throw in Spirit Island there too.
Nice.
Either Spirit Island or Eldritch Horror if I wanted like think or theme. So, so speaking of that leads into my list. My first resolution was Pandemic Legacy Season 0. I have played 1 and 2 with the same group, my group in New York. So I moved to Connecticut, but I still keep in touch with those guys over there. We were going to get together, and then COVID happened. And then we were going to get together, and COVID kept on happening.
And it's still happening.
Yeah.
Wave 2, wave 3, everything. We were trying to get together in December, and it's just like we're looking at the numbers tick up, and it's like, oh, okay, fine. But we will play it in 2021 because I love it. I could play it all for the rest of my life. I could play it. It is my game for Desert Island. If I can only play for the rest of
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
I just got anxiety thinking if I had to pick one, like for Desert Island, I don't know if I could.
I could not.
Jayson, are you a fan of superhero games as well?
Superhero games?
Yes.
So which one do you mean?
Because we got a chance to play Tokyo Sidekick, and it feels quite a bit like Pandemic in terms of moving around the board and putting out fires. But then you also have to punch big bad guys in the face and level up your characters. So it was
Writing it down.
And it's cooperative.
That sounds like fun. A lot of games are like Pandemic, like Horrified is like Pandemic, and I play a lot of those games. Okay, so then my second one, and I don't know if I'm going to get to this because it's hard to find, although they might be reprinting it. The very first cooperative game, which was Lord of the Rings Confrontation, or Lord of the Rings something. It was a Reiner Knizia design, so it is not like bursting with theme. But it is the first one I feel. There she is.
Wow.
Come on over.
Yeah.
Where you at, Candice? Where you at?
LA. I'm in LA.
Little far. I mean,
One day.
One day, absolutely. And so that is my number two. Is that something that I need to make a point of a priority about, Candice, or can I skip that?
You know what, Jayson? I haven't played it yet. Shelf of opportunity.
Is it different in the reprint, Candice? Because I know they just did the reprint at FFG.
They just did, but yeah, this is I guess the original. Oh wait, the Confrontation. That's not the one. The Confrontation. Is it? I have so many Lord of the Rings games.
Yeah, because there's one Reiner Knizia that isn't the Confrontation, so I wasn't sure which one Jayson was talking about.
There was a co-op one, whatever whatever one.
And that's not the Confrontation. They just
Hunt for the Ring.
Mine is
this one. This is the one.
That's the one. That's the one.
Does them all.
Yeah. So, and I have played this one. I have not played the co-op one.
And
But
then
anyways.
the third game. So this is one of those that's like I'm almost like afraid to put it out in the world because but it is a resolution, right, Tim? Is that the idea? We have to make
That's right.
resolutions.
It's a resolution. Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with Tim's spirit, and I'm going to say that in a couple of years ago I started designing my own game.
Ooh.
And then I had my son, and I stopped designing my game. My son is now 2, and it's kind of bursting in the back of my brain, and I never forgot it. I still have the index cards, so I want to design it to the point where I can play it.
All right, Jayson, we're gonna hold you to it.
Yeah.
The world. So
a cooperative game.
Co-op.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
Super cool.
Okay, so I'm going to throw it to Ilya.
Well, this was really tough. I was kind of looking through our shelf of opportunity, which actually it's not that bad. I think it's sitting at 14 right now. But it's bigger than I wanted. I love playing games right as we get them. That's like kind of almost the first thing that we do. But this one we got, and this is another COVID story too. We got this one and we were so excited. And it's Forgotten Waters by Plaid Hat Games.
Yeah.
That's so good.
We were so stoked for it, but it's a minimum 3-player game, and because there's only 2 of us, we have not got it to the table yet. It's actually still in shrink right here, and I just want to play it so bad, but we've been under house arrest for I think a bit over a month now, so I'm just like waiting for that day because I feel like that'll be the first game like we have somebody over and we're going to get to the table right away. So I'm confident that one's going to come off pretty soon. For my number 2, it is Feast for Odin.
Love that game.
Such a long time.
That's your number 1.
It has everything I love, so we just haven't been able to secure a copy of for us yet. And like every time we go to our FLGS and our local game shops, we just haven't been able to find it. But I think I'm just gonna work my way up to it, order it, get it, and finally get to the table because it's long overdue that we play that game. And then last but certainly not least is Empires of the Void 2. So Above and Below is the game that essentially got us into board gaming. I remember because we played those Catan, Codenames, and all the classic introductory board games. But Above and Below was that one that kind of bridge the gap between like those introductory board games to like all of our wonderful community that is here today. So we really like Red Raven Games has a really special place in our hearts, and we really, really enjoy their games. I'm counting down the days that we get Sleeping Gods because I'm very excited for that one as well.
Oh yeah.
But Empress of the Void 2, we actually got I love scouring Facebook groups and seeing if there's anyone's selling. And we got a Kickstarter version completely in shrink, never opened, for super cheap.
Cool.
So but we just still haven't gotten to the table, which I'm beating myself up. I'm guilty as I'm saying these words because I just want to play it so bad. So that's our 3. And I'm confident we'll achieve them in the next week or 2 if the restrictions go, but we'll see what happens.
I forget. Can you play Feast of Odin solo? There's a solo mode.
Yes,
You can.
Yeah, I need to.
Ilya, do
I
you
have
play
made
solo
myself
games?
sick from playing it, like playing it in the cold. Like there was a draft, and I stayed up for hours. Like I think it was like 6 hours of playing, like back to back.
She got really sick,
and I actually caught a cold. This was like
Oh,
a couple
no.
years ago, so I knew that it wasn't COVID, luckily. But
Yeah, it was like that was worth it.
it was worth it.
So now I want to do more. Sorry, what were you saying, Ruel?
I was just gonna ask if you solo games and if that would be an option to get Feast for Odin played.
Yeah, I don't play as much. I've been trying to get more into solo gaming. Tyler also loves games, so it's really easy to just pull him to the table and get those games and start playing them. But I've been trying to push myself. I actually really like the Automa and a lot of the Stonemaier games. I played the Automa for Wingspan lately, and I've really enjoyed that one. So
Nice.
I really want to get through the West Kingdom games because I heard they have a decent solo mode as well.
They do, yeah. Nice.
West Kingdoms has a good co-op mode too.
Oh, the Thomas Saga. Yeah, we haven't got it to the
Home Saga. Yep,
I think right here.
there it is.
But we haven't played it yet. Paladins is actually Tyler's favorite game of all time, and he raves about that game always. So I think we're gonna dedicate a weekend to try to get through all of them cooperatively one day.
That's cool. So it turns the entire series into a co-op game?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah, there's co-op bots for all 3 games.
Okay.
Yeah,
You can kind of
it's like
progress your way through the 3
and
games.
you can almost make a campaign out of it if you put enough story and theme into it. So I'll pass it on to Candice.
Oh, cool. Thanks. All right. So my first pick is Fire in the Lake. It is probably most people's
You just made
favorite.
Tim's head explode. Did you see that?
I know.
His face is melting.
It is probably like one of the hardest coin games, but it's Mark Herman and Volko Runke, and it's a lot of people just say it's their favorite, and I really want to, I know it's going to be, especially if we're all new players to it, it's going to be probably a 5 or 6 hour affair, maybe more, but I got into the coin series and I want to play them all, but like Fire in the Lake is just one that I really, really want to play. And I do want to play it tabletop, not on Tabletop Simulator. Like I want to be in person and so hopefully at some point I can get that one to the table. I guess my number 2 would be Age of Steam. I've never played Age of Steam, and I just feel like I will love it. I got into 18xx last year, and I don't know. I think it's maybe like heavy cardboard, like just different, and different people who have similar tastes to me love it, and I just think I'm really gonna get into it, but I just haven't played it yet. So Age of Steam is one, and then I had 2 that I was like, eh.
Go ahead. Tell them both.
Okay, cool. So one is Indonesia. It is one of the only, well, not one of the only splatter games I haven't played, but like I would say one of the popular splatter games that I haven't played. And shortly after lockdown, I was supposed to play a game on TTS, and we had 5 people, and we were, just getting ready to do it. But my computer started having issues because it was like right when everybody was locked down and the servers were being funky. because so many people were on Steam and Tabletop Simulator and everything. So I have just been like really, I think I'm going to love that game too. I really enjoy Food Chain Magnate. I love Great Zimbabwe. So it's like, I need to get Indonesia in my life. And then I'll just do one more bonus one, and that is the Seventh Continent. So I bought the Seventh Continent from a friend of mine that I game with locally, and it was like Kickstarter, like both boxes, like the white box, the black box, everything. And I just want a day where I can like, and I don't know, I might do it with my partner Matt or just solo. I love playing games solo too. So, but I want to play it. Like it's just, I've been just really wanting to like dig into that, but I always feel like I need to like carve out like 6 hours so I could take my time and enjoy it.
So one of the best things about Seventh Continent, because we ended up getting a review copy, so we don't have the Kickstarter version or the retail version, the Sumnell one, is that it's actually designed to be played in about 2-hour segments. If you don't reset the game, you will run into problems because you'll run out of food and things like that. So you won't take that much time. So you can definitely get it played in a smaller block.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah, and Fire in the Lake. We tried that because we wanted to play the coin series, and apparently we picked the wrong one. This was
you don't start with that one, Tim.
Yeah,
no.
I know. So we learned our lesson. It was 4 of us, and it was literally about 6 hours. You know, we had lunch, we planned the whole day, and at the end of that whole day, I still had no idea what I was doing. Yeah.
Was anybody that you were playing with? Had any of you ever played a coin game before?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like, and spoiler alert, this is kind of related to my article that's going out, but I feel like the coin series, like 18XX, which ironically I started playing my first game last year. The cool thing about it is if you're into it, it definitely is like they're complex, and you know it'll take multiple plays before you're able to like fully grasp it. But the good news is after you play one, then you go to play the next one and it's like, oh, this is like tweaks. Oh, this is slightly different. But it's like once you can get through, like Cuba Libre was my first one, which is like most people recommend that because it's like a smaller map, tighter board, and you can kind of understand how the asymmetric factions work together. But even after playing 2 games 2 weeks back to back, I'm still like, I need to play this game like 4 more times, and like really with people who also know how to play it, because then you're really doing it. But I'm really like fascinated by those designs and you know how the eligibility system works and just like the event cards and all the history that are like that GMT and the designers like pack into those games. It blows my mind. And fun fact, Root was inspired by the coin series. So if you like Root, people consider it to be like a coin light kind of game.
Yep.
But yeah,
That's right. And to throw in just a quick commercial, if you want to find out more about that, go check out my interview with Cole Worley I just did. Had to throw a plug in there.
Nice.
You gotta plug yourself.
Yes, but speaking of theme though, and this sort of about our conversation we had before, I believe, and I could be wrong, I like what other people's opinions are, but especially about coin series, Candice, I think that you have to either be interested in the theme or enjoy it to even play that game, or those, in my opinion.
So I would say it depends on the person. You know, I think there are certain people that are like only going to want to play a certain coin game because it's this historical period. But for people like me, I love learning about the different historical periods, and that's my whole purpose of like wanting to play them. It's like, oh, I didn't know anything about this aspect of history, but now I'm like, I'm learning it. I'm learning all the key players in these different political events and, you know, historic events and everything. So I personally, I want to play them all, and I want to learn about every chunk of history. But then I have a friend who was like, after playing Cuba Libre, he was like, he's like, I'll play Liberty or Death. about the American Revolution, but like he's not really interested in some of the other themes. So it kind of depends on where your curiosity lies. And that's another thing besides saying like Cuba Libre is a good place to start because it's a smaller map. It's like if you're interested in any of the historical topics, like delve into it because you're going to get served a enriching gaming experience. But you have to have patience.
How fun is throwing out historical facts like you're totally educated when you got it from a board game?
Yeah.
So you don't have to
I think it's valid. It doesn't matter what you picked it up.
Like, let me tell you about that bird.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
Yes. Oh yeah, love it. And Jayson, I too, side note, and then I'll pick someone. I too am designing a board game, and I have play tested mine, and I've had people play test it, but it's like one of these things that it is on the back burner because of so many other things I'm working on. But I'm hoping this year to pitch it. I'm hoping.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And it is a theme that is not common, so you'll all be happy about that when it stays the way it's okay, I'm gonna pass it to Beneeta.
Yay! So I have a shelf of opportunity and floor and couch, and so my resolutions were to really like play all my games. So there are definitely a lot of games I'm looking forward to in 2020, but I'm like, no, I need to like actually play the games I currently already own. So the first one is Anachrony. I don't have like the Kickstarter version, but yes, everyone always is so excited when I talk about them. They're like, it's so good, it's so good.
It's so
I
good.
got the giant Infinity box last week, and it took me 3 nights to pack it.
I got it right here. I just opened it up. Yeah.
It took me 3 nights to organize everything and pack it, but I want to play it too again soon.
So I didn't like Kickstarter or anything. I just have like the retail version that I bought like maybe 2 years ago. Yeah, that sounds about right. And it's still like sitting in shrink and everything. And, I love worker placement games. And I have a few friends who say it's so good. But unfortunately, they're friends who don't live in the area. And it's like, I live with my family and it's not a game I could ever play with them. Like they played games like Splendor and like Istanbul. And it's just like, if I introduced Anachrony to them, they would never play a board game with me. So I really want to get it played this year because it looks so good and it's such a cool theme and like everyone raves about it and I had it for 2 years. So the next one is Yokohama. Like I mentioned, my family really loves Istanbul and I've heard it's kind of like one step up from Istanbul.
Yep.
And like I feel like my family has gotten really good at Istanbul. Like I don't win at all, which makes me a little bit sad. So I feel like if you all are still beating me and we can like graduate a little bit to Yokohama. So I want to play that. I haven't played that one yet. And my last one is Russian Railroads. I paid a stupid amount for it a few years ago. And again, still haven't played it with anyone. And I like route building and it just looked good. This was also when I first got into gaming. So I looked at like all the top 100 lists, all the top 10 lists, and I didn't know what I liked. So I just bought what everyone else liked. And like now I don't like buy games like that anymore. I'm a little bit more self-aware, but I do think I will like Russian Railroad. So I really want to play that as well.
Is there a new print of that this year?
No, that's why I paid a stupid amount because it's an out of print.
I think it's coming. Like there have been teasers. So it might not come this year, but it might be like something for next year, maybe Kickstarter or something this year. God. But don't forget, Beneeta, I don't know if you play solo games, but Anachrony is excellent solo. I haven't tried it solo yet, but might be a good way to learn it and play it if you don't have anyone to play with.
If you see the name David Tercey on the design, you will want to play it.
That's right.
Really?
He has yet to make a bad solo bot.
Yeah. Maybe I'll try. I'm not generally a solo player. I'll just play like Animal Crossing instead if it's just me. So maybe I'll have to consider it. And That's great if Russian Railroads is getting a reprint, but I really hope I play my game at least once before the reprint comes out.
Now you got more
Otherwise,
pressure.
I'm gonna feel so stupid. Why did I spend so much money on this game? But yes, those are my three. And I'll do Maggie and Amy.
Hey.
What are our three? Well, one is we're big fans of Uwe Rosenberg. So one of the things I would love to do is work our way through the entire back catalog of Uwe. So that feels like it's going to take a little while, but yeah, I think it'll be fun. I got Fields of All for Christmas, and yeah, we've played it now a couple of times, and I really enjoy it. It's more my thing.
It's resource heavy.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on 1 second. Maggie, did you get that from Amy?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's cheating. That doesn't count as a Christmas.
And
other stuff.
Can't buy her a game. And it's really hard to get that game, okay? I got a copy in shrink. And that was no mean feat.
Yeah. This is where, I wish, if we were somewhere where we had more, we've got a couple of gaming friends, but they're not the type to have a collection. So, it's really hard for us to leverage other people's libraries.
There's
which
no
would make
Meepleville.
There's no Meepleville that we can go to and just play those games. So it's tricky because then you end up having to buy them all.
Yeah, but we love Bonanza, we love Feast.
We do, yes.
So looking forward to that.
Yeah, and Tim, we played, you taught us Patchwork when we were at
You
Meepleville.
did. First time at Meepleville. You don't remember teaching us games, but you taught us that.
Lahab.
Yeah.
Don't forget Lahab.
Yeah.
Yes, we haven't played.
We haven't played it, and I know I've done that thing where I think I've got I've also not just got the shelf of Opportunity. I also have a lot of downloaded apps of Opportunity. So the app version of the game. I probably have more of them than the actual physical games that are in shrink. It's the app is in shrink. So
I missed what you said at the beginning because I was reading the chat. Did you say you want to play all of Uwe's games?
Yeah.
This year? All of them.
Try and work back through the entire. Well, and some of them are going to be hard to find, so we're going to have to
do
try.
our best.
Yeah.
Well, at least you chose Uwe and not Rainer Knizia.
No, you know
Or Stefan Feld. I put that out to the channel peeps, and everyone has a different recommendation for Stefan Feld. But our number two is kind of leading into that a bit, which is we started probably really seriously gaming in 2014-ish. And so there's lots of games that predate that when you're constantly chasing the hotness, and I'm always bringing Kickstarter games into the house. And so it's always new. It's really, really hard to go back. And it's also hard, we said, there's not a good library. Our friends don't collect games. So we need to just go to Vegas, go to Meepleville for 6 months and sit there and do our due diligence in learning all those classics. You guys mentioned Terraforming Mars, we have never played.
Yeah.
Oh.
I know.
Good. We should play it sometime.
Oh, can you teach us?
Yes, I can 1000% teach it.
Amazing. Yes. Yay.
Okay. Realized it was never going to get played. Got the app and sold the game. I was like, just going to play it online. That's how I'm going to have to play this one.
I love it.
Nice.
Yeah, apparently the app is really good. Yeah, I've heard that the app is quite good. It was a good implementation. Yeah.
I think we should play it instead of you adding it to your list of
my
apps of opportunity.
App shelf of shame.
Yeah.
Opportunity.
And actually, you mentioned some Splotter games, Candice. That's been on my list for ages too. We always talk about Splotter games as the games that make our relationships stronger.
Challenging and rewarding if you make it out alive.
If you make it through.
If you make it out,
And so we have a lot of fun when we do play them, and but we haven't played some of the older ones. So any recommendations on the best Splotter games?
Yes.
We really only have Roads and Boats,
Food Chain Magnate.
Food Chain Magnate.
Yeah.
Great Zimbabwe.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard good things.
100%. I think that's my favorite. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
it's on the list.
And then the another one that we had a resolution was Lost Ruins of Arnak, just because we haven't it's been ordered.
Because so it was around Essenspiel, and all the new games are coming out, and I'm pre-ordering all of them. And then I'm like, I need to like draw the line somewhere. And so read about it, and it was meant to have, less player interaction. So I was like, that's a good enough reason. I won't get it. Then of course it totally exploded. And then I was like, can't get a copy of it now.
And the FOMO was real.
The FOMO is so real. I've been looking for a copy for so long.
I know. And we played Dune Imperium, same mechanisms, and we've ordered Endless Winter, same mechanism. So we want to kind of have that trifecta to compare. Dwayne, who I know is in the comments chatting as well, he was raving about it last week when we had this chat. So that's definitely on the list for this year. As soon as I can get a copy in Australia. Help us. It's very hard to get games over here.
Maggie and Amy, while you two were talking, I went to BGG to see how many Uwe Rosenberg games are there, because I was very curious. And there is BGG to see how many Uwe Rosenberg.
That was my fault. Sorry.
Okay. And he has a list of 31 notable games, and then if you go to like all of its games, it's like 999. I think it's because it's like because each card has its own thing. So just do the notable games. Do the 31.
Inconveniently prolific.
Like, how do you put out so many games? Yeah. I'm not playing every version of Patchwork, FYI. Although I do want the Taiwanese version, like the Taiwan skin. That'd be really cool. Anyway, that's our list. So Ruel. Yes, and we'll to Ruel.
Oh, okay. Thanks. I've got 3 games off my shelf of opportunity / floor of opportunity. And these I chose because I think I traded these. I got them all in trade from like other games on my shelf of opportunity that I never actually played. And I just ended up trading them away. So the games that I got, the first one is Time of Crisis, the Roman Empire, or the Roman Empire in Turmoil. And I was thinking about you, Candice, when I chose this, as you're talking, like, the only GMT game I've played is Twilight Struggle, which I really, really enjoy. And I really want to get into this. Honestly, and Tim, this sort of talks about what you're talking about. I'm not really so into the theme or history, but I really want to play the game because it seems really interesting. It's got like some deck building, some bag building, area control, I believe. But then it's like, okay, I'm going to get a history lesson too. So that's going to be fun. So this is the first one that I have. Have you played this one, Candice?
No, and that's on my shelf of opportunity. So that would have been like
nice.
Been like number 5. But yeah, I've been wanting to play it. I've had it for probably 5 months or so, and I've really been wanting to play it. The deck building, you don't draw randomly from a deck.
Right.
You have your whole hand of cards, and you pick which ones you want to form your
that's
really good.
Yeah, I think that's such a neat mechanism. Like, it's deck building, but no, you're choosing exactly what to play every round. It's not just like shuffling and randomly drawing. So yeah, that really got me interested. Candice, that reminds me too. We're both in the Southern California area, and our local convention's been shut down. I'm so bummed because I know you just played Twilight Imperium for the first time.
Yes.
Like, oh my gosh, yes.
I love it.
Okay.
But yeah, if we haven't played it by the time Strategicon wraps around and actually happens, we'll play it together there.
Absolutely, 100%. Yes. So that's my first game, folks. The other one, the second one that I'm vowing to play this year is Kanban, the automotive. This is the older one. Again, I got this in trade, and it's a Lacerda that I haven't played yet, but I love worker placement. I've enjoyed Lacerda games that I've played. This one is definitely going to be played this year, and it has a solo mode. So I'll probably, because I know this isn't something my wife would play, but so I'll probably just do the solo as well. The third game that I vow to play, and this one I know my family will, we just haven't gotten around to playing it, is Pictomania. This game, this sounds wacky. It's a drawing game, but you're all drawing at the same time and trying to guess what the other people are drawing. It's all real time, and it happens at the same time. And this one I know my family would love. It's just we just haven't gotten
fun.
So those are the 3 games that I'm going to play for sure this year.
Can you stream that one, Ruel? That sounds fun.
Yeah. This one for sure is going to be streamed. The other 2 probably not. Well, maybe Kanban for the solo. Time of Crisis, I'm trying to figure out who I'm going to play that with. And Candice, do you think it would be a game that I could play like over Zoom? Like, do you think? Because I don't know how much information there is. Like, I know everyone has their deck of cards.
Yeah, I would say probably do TTS if you were going to do it like remotely. Yeah.
Okay. I was afraid you were going to say that. I'm not the biggest fan of TTS. But
I know, me neither. Me neither.
Okay, thank you. I'm with friends. Yes. So those are the 3 games that I'm going to play this year for sure. And I think we have Jayson and Julie left. Is that it?
Oh, and then me, I'll go after.
Okay, cool. Yeah. All right, Jayson and Julie, what 3 games do you have?
Thank you very much. So if you've watched any of the Dice and Dragons video, you'll know that Jayson and I have very, very different tastes in games. So we couldn't have the same. We don't have the same gaming resolution. So I'll give my 3. And then
Is that a couple thing? Because
if you ever see our top 10 list, we did one from a while back, and we each had our own list, and then we argued, bantered, and put together our combined channel list. So I got some of my games, she got some of her games. We'll put the same thing with this.
The ultimate compromise.
Yeah, that's how it works in marriage.
Yes.
Number one on my list is Descent. There are some new campaigns. There's some campaigns we haven't played. Descent is the first game that we really played together that made me realize that I love board games, because Jay used to play with his friends, and I'd be like, yeah, Monopoly, whatever, I can play that, but board games, I'm refused to. And Descent was, has a sweet place in my heart. We have not touched it in I don't know how long, so we are going to play it this year. For sure.
It's been about a year, and I got to say what I do love about Descent, we're definitely going to play it, is that I love all the different characters. There's a great, especially if you get the whole thing, there's a lot of representation in the game, which is just something that is on topic with this. And I know that you loved your witch, who was definitely the most powerful character that we had, and you quite enjoyed blowing up all the monsters all at once with that nice. Yeah, the sad part was we started a new campaign, and you're like, but I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, definitely has to come to the table. My second one, we talked about before, Inuit. I got it as a gift. It sounded excellent, but we talked to a couple people have mentioned it. We're always chasing the new games, the new hotness, the Kickstarter coming in, or what people suggest that they'd like us to review on the channel. So we don't always get to the games that we want to play. So I definitely want to play Inuit this year. It's been on the shelf for way too long, and it's too good a game for it to be sitting there. So
the art is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it's a beautiful game.
So
I'm looking for it. And for me, that's one of the things, I was listening theme, or how I love beautiful games. I think that's something I repeated. I don't know how many times we played Wingspan and we reviewed Wingspan. When a game is pretty, I enjoy playing it more. So
me too.
My pick.
Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely.
And then actually, we were binge watching at the beginning of the pandemic. We binge watched Tabletop, and I am a huge Formula One fan. And they played Formula D, and Jayson saw me going, "That's interesting," and he actually went and found a copy for me. So I was hoping that we'd play this at Christmas with my family, but with COVID, we were isolated and didn't get to have anybody over for the holidays. So we're going to play it no matter what, but it's going to be played hopefully sooner rather than later. Definitely this year, because I just love it. So that's my top 3. Let Jayson.
And I had to get the game because, like Jayson, we like a lot of cooperative games. So when Julie's like, that's a competitive game and I want to play it, I'm like, I got to find this right now. If you got to play it, it's always good to have some diversity. So for my top 3, my first one, and this just got pushed back because everyone was covering it and we wanted to do some different stuff. And I was hoping to be able to get a group to play it as well, is Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion. We also have Gloomhaven. That's been sitting on my shelf for way too long. And we were going to take it out. Then I heard that Jaws of the Lion was coming. I was like, you know what? Let's just play it in what's chronological order, get the stories, learn the system, go to Gloomhaven. And that is one I want to absolutely play in 2021. Then there's the other game is Sine Tempore by Ludus Magnus Studios. I got that a while back just because the miniatures is very cool. It's a cooperative game, science fiction. I love just the idea of picking different characters, managing all of your characters just across the board, and going on this really big, expansive story. We played it once in 2019, and it never got back out to the table. We just had to pack it up, and it's been sitting there ever since, and I just really want to play it. And then Another one that's been on the shelf of opportunity for a really long time that I was hoping that we'd get a chance to play is Charterstone. The idea of getting this out and playing with the family, making our own game, just seemed like it would be a great thing for us to do over the holidays, whether we finish it or not. I just love the idea that, the mechanics are introduced piece by piece. So it's a great thing to start with. We were going to play with our parents and then really make our own custom game. And I was like, that would be real fun Christmas type activity. And it didn't happen. So maybe we'll find a way to do it at some point during this year.
Cool.
And so, Tim, take it away.
And I think you're
Tim, you're on
mute.
Sorry, you're right. Okay, sorry, Jayson. They missed your second one in the chat. What was your second one?
Cine Tempore by Ludus Magnus Studios.
Okay, good. Oh, well, thank you. Well, mine is, because you guys have been using the nice politically correct term shelf of opportunity. I'm not gonna say shelf of shame. I'm gonna say personal shame. All of these things on here, I'm almost embarrassed to say these, but I'm gonna go ahead. I gotta play them. So number 3, and the reason is mostly because of Meepleville, and it's literally one of our top played games. Grant promised me he's going to teach me this year, but is Betrayal at House on the Hill. Now, it's not my type of game, I don't think. I'm kind of prejudging. But I just need to play it because that's what my clientele plays and they love. A lot of people. So I should kind of know the games that my people love, right? So that's number 3. Number 2 is for me personally. And that is a couple of people have mentioned, but any Vital Lacerda game, or at least several. I feel so embarrassed, so ashamed. I have yet to play one single Vital Lacerda game. So I'm definitely getting that to the table. And my number 1 is this is really embarrassing. And I'm going to do it more than once, and that is Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I have never played Dungeons and Dragons. Because
Tim, me too. I haven't either.
Yeah, I haven't either.
And it's because, again, I know, like Candice, you like the really, really heavy games. I think you're probably a step above me. You know what I mean? I like heavy games, but I think, Candice, you're out of my league. And I don't think
in so many ways.
Yeah, I don't think.
And so it begins.
I don't think D&D just. I don't think I like it. I mean, I don't know. It's just I don't think it's kind of my thing. But I do, again, for Meepleville, because people play it, it's real popular. Especially because I guess that series I heard, Stranger Things, really kind of brought it back, whatever. But I just need to play, so I can talk about it. I mean, I sell books all the time. I sell the minis. I should at least know the game instead of talking out of my butt like I do all the time, because I'm like, oh, you're going to love it. It's fantastic. Yeah, it's great. Adventure, fighting. Yeah, you're going to love it.
This is a little embarrassing, but I do have a blanket that is my cape of billowing that I put on myself when we play from time to time.
I love it.
It's such a great time, and that's actually one of the things we do play on Roll20. My son, my fiance, and a couple of our other friends, but we get together over Roll20, and just it's such a great experience, dude. You are able to tell these crazy stories after the fact. Like one time I became invisible in Weekend at Bernie's a villain. Like I strapped her to my body and was like, hey, now you're gonna let us out of this cave, right? Like it's so fun. It lets your imagination run wild.
Yeah, it's such a different tabletop experience, right? It's so, I mean, it's here. It's all up there. It's amazing. I love role-playing games. And I mentioned this before, Tim, like 2020, one of my highlights was getting back into role-playing games after so many years. I mean, I'm still a board gamer, through and through, but having the experience that I've had with some of the role-playing games, just amazing. I'm so happy to be back into them. So yeah, get in a D&D game, Tim. Do it.
And you know what? I could be wrong. To be perfectly honest with you, I could be wrong because I felt the same thing about Gloomhaven, right? Because I'm just like, I'm dungeon crawl. I don't know, whatever. But Dave and Gino, they're like, hey, let's play. So I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to play. I'm going to totally commit. I will, go be an empty vessel. I will sit down, no preconceptions, nothing. And I actually had a really good time. We just played like the one initial campaign or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it. I allowed myself, totally open to go in there, and I enjoyed it. So I may like D&D. It may be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Tim, which Lacerda game are you going to try?
Because Ruel just said Kanban and stuff, but I think it's probably going to be either that I consider one of his two more popular ones, at least that get played the most, either Veenhost or the Gallerist. So yeah, either one of those two, I think.
Veenhost, you could set that one aside. Gallerist.
You can always try his escape plan. Like it's like his lighter one, so maybe you can work your way up to it.
Yeah.
We have CO2 Second Chance, the co-op one, and I love the game. It has not been played in a while. That game lights my brain on fire. Afterwards, I feel like I need to take a nap.
We learned Lisboa this year, and it blew our minds in the best way possible.
I want to play Lisboa so bad.
It's so good, but it was so nice, and I think what I would recommend is we actually set everything up and almost learned kind of how everything works the day before. And kind of went through the first almost round of the game just to see how things move, and then actually played it the next day. And that next day was so much better because of that. Because that first day our minds were just what is happening? There's so many moving pieces. But wow, it's such a remarkable game.
I love that you did that, Ilya. Just the whole pre-game, right? You do
That's
pre-game. That's
I'm such a visual learner. I need to kind of see things as they go.
Yep.
I know one of the things that I'm really poor at is I'm not an auditory learner whatsoever. So if anyone is reading the rule book, it goes completely over. I'm always the rule book person.
Same.
So
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I did the same thing with TI4. We played with our neighbors who are kind of our micro bubble. But yeah, I'm I read the whole learn to play twice. And then we watched a video together. Yeah. Everybody, we picked our factions ahead of time. It's and it was incredible.
Did you watch Shay's video, Candice? The third,
is that
TI4 in 30 minutes? Yeah.
Yeah,
I've taught that game several times. I had a goal back in 2019 where I wanted to play TI4 10 times in the year, and so I taught it a bunch of times. And I always recommended Shay's video was 30 minutes, and then it was a week before time. I would say, hey, read the Learn to Play, watch this video. You have to do your homework, and then we're going to talk about factions. And then when the day actually comes, it goes way smoother because we've had that pregame.
Totally. I'm hoping to sneak a game in next month for my birthday.
Lucky, I love it.
I'm hoping. Everybody loved it, but they were a little drained.
Oh yeah. It's a whole day. You have to plan the whole day. Yeah, you have to have your meals, you have to have your naps and everything else. Yeah.
Since we're talking about all of our resolutions, I'd love to know what is everyone's game that you probably had for a long time. You're never going to get rid of it, but you don't know if you're ever going to play it again. It's part of the collection. It's not going anywhere.
That's a great question, Jayson.
Yeah, that's a hard question, though, Jayson.
I've been thinking about it because I've been actually culling the collection. So there's a few that have just kind of come up. I actually made the decision to cull Battlestar Galactica.
So good.
Oh, good. It's so good. Don't get rid of it.
I have the game. I love the game. I realized I was never going to play it. And with just what people are paying on the secondary market, I was like, if I take this out and someone spills anything on it, I might just lose my mind. I'm like, let's just send it on its way. Someone else will be very happy with it. And luckily, we should be having the Arkham Horror rethemed version that will come out. So if they do improve it, I'll be happy about my decision.
So, real quick story. The convention that Ruel and I go to called Strategicon in LA, my very first time going, and I was new to the hobby, had no gamer friends. I'm walking around by myself like a lost puppy. And I, at that point, was aware of Battlestar Galactica, but it was out of print, and people are selling it for $200+. So I'm like, I'm never gonna have this game. In the vendor area of the convention, I'm wandering around. One little booth had a copy of Battlestar Galactica for $50.
Wow.
It was in shrink. And
Wow.
I was just like, such a highlight. But yeah, I love that game.
That's so awesome.
Wow.
Now I need the expansion. So if you guys ever see the expansions,
Me too. I've got the base and
yeah.
I miss
Absolutely.
conventions.
I don't know what that game is for me yet because I have very small children and I don't know what I'm going to play, what they're going to like. So it could be that they like all of my games.
That's true.
You better keep them all.
You'll never have to get rid of a game ever.
All the ones I love. So once my kid's gonna grow out of that, then maybe I'll be able to answer that a little bit better because like, okay, they're not playing this, so I'm probably not playing it either.
There you go.
I think I have a hot take, and it's gonna be Wingspan. I have all of the expansions. We just got Oceania. We have everything for it. I have a lot of upgrades. I have this gorgeous insert for it that I display from time to time. But I won't get rid of it, but I don't ever want to play that game again.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know. I only ever have one card in my hand at all times. I know you start off with like however many cards you start off with, but as the game progresses, it just doesn't click well for me. There are a lot of other Stormlight games that do click well. That one just doesn't do it for me. So if it's someone mentioning Wingspan, like how about we play safe?
I think I agree with you, Roberto, for kind of like a different reason. But like I had one of like the first copies of Wingspan from like the original pre-order, and so nobody had it, so everybody wanted to play it. So I just played it so much in the first like 6 months that I got it that I rarely want to play it, but I won't give it away. I definitely. I'll keep it on standby, in case it's like you're easing in some non-gamers, but something that's a little interesting. I also just think it's really cool that Elizabeth Hargrave is a female designer, and it was like her first design. That's so cool.
Yeah, she killed it. She knocked it out of the park. Well, listen, guys, this has been absolutely fantastic. We've had some wonderful discussion. It's so great that we're an international show because we got people from Australia and Canada.
Future.
I'm meant to be working, Tim. Don't tell anyone.
Like lunchtime here. It's like a very long lunch break right now.
But you're your own boss, aren't you? So you can excuse yourself, right? So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and let everybody know and make sure when you go ahead, when I call on you, that you let people know what you have coming up. If you got new videos, if you got new articles or doing whatever, make sure they know your Instagram, Twitter, all that kind of stuff where they can find out everything about you, okay? And thank you, everybody who's been watching. And please go ahead to all the content creators here tonight. Make sure you go watch their channels, subscribe to them, and follow them. And again, they'll be back every Wednesday, or not every Wednesday, but throughout the different Wednesdays throughout this series, you'll see them again. So let's go ahead and we'll start down in the corner and we'll go backwards. Let's start with Jayson and Julie from Dice and Dragons.
All right, well, you can find us at youtube.com, at our channel, Dice and Dragons. You can find us at Twitter, at Dice and Dragon. Couldn't get the S. Don't remember why. It's been a while since we've had it. You can find us at Instagram on Dice and Dragons. And you can find us, of course, on Facebook at Dice and Dragons as well.
So what do we have coming up, Jayson?
So what do we got coming up? We've got a review of Chronicles of Crime 1400 coming out tomorrow. We will be covering Dune Imperium I believe that's going to be next week. We might have another review that we're going to slip in there, and we will actually be doing a review of our board game table within the next month or so, something like that. And then we should be also getting out by the end of the month our top 10 games that we reviewed in 2020. So we're going to be just going through the list, looking at statistics. There might be some typical banter depending on how all these games rack up, but kind of regretting not keeping a list earlier.
So typically our primary way of communicating with everybody, though, is through our YouTube channel, through our reviews.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll see you there.
Oh, you're on
He did it again.
Did it again.
There you go.
She's going off. Sorry.
She's cheering us on.
Yeah, so that's why I said okay. I know it's yeah. It's annoying. So I know it's like like when you see that family in the restaurant with those kids and like they like don't seem to notice the kids, and like they're like everybody else is like ruining their night. I know how that is now because I just block her out. But I know it's really lovely. But anyway, Candice, yes, if you would please go ahead and let everybody know what you got coming up and everything where they can find you.
Yep. Again, I'm Candice Harris from Board Game Geek. I write weekly news articles that are posted on Board Game Geek, and I also have a show that's going to be launching. I won't give a date, but it's going to be coming out where I interview game designers called Board Game Breakdown. So that'll be coming in the near future. And then I'm designing a game. But anyway, you can keep up with my happenings on Twitter at CandyDrum, and it's CANDIDRUM. Thanks for having me, Tim. And
yes,
awesome
fantastic.
To meet everybody.
Yes, thank you, Candice. Yeah, absolutely. And Candice will be back again with us one more time this month, as well as Jayson and Julie too. So thank you very much, Candice, joining us. And over there in the corner, we have Jayson from Shelf Stories. Hello, Jayson.
All right. So upcoming on my channel. So I have a full historical breakdown coming of Freedom, including a review for the Dice Tower. The history gets a little bit difficult, so we're going to keep that away from the Dice Tower. Just my channel over there. So then I also have my Shelf Help series. I'm a mental health therapist in my day job. I like to try to find ways of applying what I teach and what I help clients with, and put that out into the world. People, depression, anxiety. Like we're gamers, but we're people too. And we, a lot of people use games as their coping mechanism. And I try to like kind of blow that out and give you more tips and tricks on how to be a happier gamer and a happier person. So that is Shelf Stories. My username is Pope Sixtus on BGG. And my Twitter handle is Shelf Stories GBL, Games, Books, and Life. And YouTube Shelf Stories.
All right, fantastic. Jayson, got some good stuff looking forward to coming up. And then our future friends over there, Amy and Maggie.
Yes, that's us, Amy and Maggie. I'm the thinker, and this is my wonderful fiance, Maggie the themer. And together we talk about games from those two different perspectives on YouTube. And it tends to be big box, more complex kind of
the heavier games, Euro-y type of game.
But we like to kind of get into the detail about what we each love about them and then why you might like to own it. We have been asked many times about talking about smaller box games and fillers. And so we're excited to be starting a new series that's focused on those games this year. And also starting up again the Kickstarter conversations where basically I just run through everything that I'm buying.
Justifies every purchase.
Justify every purchase. And then that's how Maggie hears about it, by watching the series.
Okay, that's happening. But I mean, yay, because I love the games when they come.
That's right. So you can find us at ThinkerThemer.com, which just redirects to our YouTube.
All right, fantastic. Well, thank you as always for joining us. I really appreciate it. And holding the center box down, we have Ruel.
Hello, thanks again, Tim and everyone. This has been fantastic. I really appreciate the opportunity to hang out with y'all here on Twitch, YouTube, and BGG. Folks, if you don't know me, I am here all over the interwebs. My name is Ruel Gaviola. I'm on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook. Instagram is Gaming with Ruel, and I play games almost every day at 7 p.m. Pacific on my Twitch channel. Got a huge event coming up, Tabletop Live Network on January 30th. That's the final Saturday of this month. Me and the Brothers Murph and I have co-organized this event where we're going to have 24 hours continuous streaming of board games. It's going to be amazing. We've got a lot of great content creators. So we go back to back to back from everywhere around the world, Australia, Europe, the US, the UK. It's going to be an amazing event. Please come and join us again on that January 30th. And thank you again, Tim. Much appreciated, friend.
Thank you, Ruel, as always. It's great having you here. Really appreciate it. And another one of our neighbors from up north in Canada, Ilya. He's solo tonight. Last week we had his partner Tyler with him, and this week we've got Ilya by himself.
Yeah, Tyler passes his greetings. Thanks so much for having me here today, Tim. It was so much fun. My doggo's been bugging me this whole time. So, but we're Kovray. Essentially, our we have an ambitious goal to really inspire as many people as we can to play games, because they have such a important value and experience that they provide in an educational way, in a relationship building way. And there's just so much that people can benefit from games. So you can find us at kovray.com. That's kind of the center domain. We do YouTube, we do blogs. We're also on Instagram and Twitter under Kovray Studios. So you can check us out there. But we'd love to chat with you. And if you ever want to slide into the DMs and talk board games, I'm always happy to rant about all my fun experiences and recommend and hear some recommendations from you as well. So thank you so much for being here today.
Also, Beasley.
Thank you so much, Ilya. Great having you here. And then we have Beneeta up there.
Sorry, I was just looking at the dog. Beasley is adorable. Hi, I'm Beneeta. You can find me on Twitch, TikTok, and Twitter at Beneeta, BENEETA_K. I started my Twitch channel last week. On Wednesdays, I will be streaming video games. Currently, I'm streaming Phoenix Wright, which has been lots of fun. Sundays, I do board games with friends. And Saturdays, I do board game with friends. And then Sundays, I do just like check-ins and talking about like food, meal prepping, how to do planners, just general chit-chat. So hopefully I will see you in chat. And I will drop a link to my Twitter. Or Panda did, because she is the best. And you can probably find me on Amanda Panda After Dark, because that is one of the best programmings on Twitch right now.
So good.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Beneeta. Next, we have Roberto.
Thank you for the opportunity and having me here with you today or this evening. Tim, I'm Roberto at Shear Boardom, SHEAR, Boardom like board game. You can find me on Instagram. I do first impressions, small little reviews, unboxing, one take unboxing videos. And I also have a YouTube channel where I like to provide a platform for, to just have these small one-on-one interviews with content creators, personalities, developers, all sorts of people. Because again, everyone has a story, and I want to be the one to tell it.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
Oh, fantastic. Well, thank you, Roberto. Really appreciate it. And last but not least, I guess, is me. So yes, my name is Tim. I have a YouTube channel. Well, let me get my name up there. Sorry. If I can find it. Here it is. Okay. I have a YouTube channel, Meepleville Board Game Cafe, where I do interviews. I've interviewed some game designers and some other people in the industry. And this coming Monday, I have Jayson Matthews, who designed Twilight Struggle. And the reason I'm bringing him up is because Candice mentioned the Zenobia Awards, and he had talked about that too in the interview. That's something very passionate to him. I believe he's actively involved in that. So he has a part in that. So yeah, go ahead and check out the interview. That's coming up this Monday. I also started doing like a sort of like a news show. It's just me kind of just rambling about stuff I found on the internet the past week on Twitch on Monday night, and I'd like people to drop in. You're more than welcome to drop in. This, of course, on Wednesday, I'm going to trying to start doing some reviews because I'm not very good at it. It's not something like, there's plenty of people here who do a lot better reviews than I do, but I figured I'd give it a try. And then don't forget about the Dice Tower Kickstarter too, because I am a stretch goal at 280,000 if they reach it. Then I get to do a show with Tom or Z, either one of them. Like they'll be switching off as co-hosts, but I'll be the regular one on there. So please go ahead, check out the Dice Tower Kickstarter so I can do that show with them. And last but not least, I just wanted to share something that I started because I'm an old person and I don't do video games and don't do a whole lot of stuff, but my wife and I just today, we got them hooked up and everything. I just learned about Oculus. So we just got ourselves an Oculus.
Oh, nice.
So you guys all see, I'm so late to the game on everything. That is phenomenal. I'm like, I don't know if I'll ever play board games again.
I'm sure you will.
There's a limit to virtual reality.
Yeah, the battery only lasts 2 hours.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You gotta play board games. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, sorry. Let me take this banner off of here. But once again, well, thank you all. Also, I just want to give a big thanks out. I don't want to forget to our moderators in chat. Okay, we had Amanda Panda there. Thank you so much, and everybody. She is absolutely lovely. She's got a channel on Twitch. She has her show, so make sure you go check that out. We also have Grant. He's the general manager at Meepleville. He was in there with the chat also moderating, and we also have Lincoln and Aldi from Board Game Geek. And again, thank you, Aldi, for this great opportunity to have these wonderful content creators on the show. And thanks to all of you for joining us here. And folks, everybody who watched YouTube, Twitch, or whether you're just on the BGG page, thank you so much for joining us. And we really appreciate it. We'll be here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific time. You'll see a lot of these people back again. But one more time, thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next Wednesday. All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye, guys.